Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4 on this beautiful fall day. A day to get out in the garden.
Oh, and absolutely. Get outside and put out some pumpkins and hay bales.
Right.
A little later this hour, we're going to be taking your calls for Lisa Briggs, live from the Bruce Company. So Mark and I will let you know when it's time to call in.
But first, here's what's making news on this Tuesday. Republican lawmakers are looking for support for a resolution supporting F-35 fighter jets at Truex Field.
A video posted online shows a Rock County high schooler being bullied, why parents are now calling for something to be done about it.
And the Supreme Court today is hearing one of the biggest cases of the term. We'll share how it could impact the LGBTQ community.
Let's take a look outside today. These are days to bottle. A little drone footage of the colors.
Sky 3 out there?
Boy, they're really starting to go now around the Madison area. Have you noticed?
And once they start, they go fast.
Yeah.
But get outside and enjoy one more sunny day. Dana Fulton is in the backyard.
You have to read slower. We don't want that drone video to stop.
No, we can go back to that. That looked great.
Let's bottle this up.
We do have one more sunny day, thankfully, for us. Looking outside right now from our WIC-TV Skycam, notice barely even a cloud in the sky currently. A few colors starting to change, though still a lot of green outside right now. We're going to enjoy the sunshine for this evening, and tomorrow's our Doppler track is still nice and quiet. Temperature-wise, we're quite a bit above average, close to 70 for most of southern Wisconsin, about 72 in Bosqueville, but 68 still in Madison, with a light breeze from the south at 10 miles per hour in Madison, closer to 15, though, in Lone Rock, so enough that you will certainly notice it. Overnight, our temps will drop yet again thanks to that mostly clear sky. Our breeze will calm down a little bit as we head into tomorrow morning as well. And we're planning on another really nice day for Wednesday. We'll take a closer look at Wednesday and the rain chances that will follow in just a few minutes. Right now on the roads, we aren't seeing any major accidents to report. Not much congestion either throughout most of the area. That's the good news. Of course, along the Beltline, we do have a few delays on the east and westbound side. Around Sauk City and Prairie du Sac, things look just fine, especially as you're heading up towards Baraboo on 12. No delays. From Janesville to the Beltline, about 27 minutes, 16 minutes to get from Sauk City to Milton, and from Sun Prairie to downtown on this sunny evening. It'll only take you just about 17 minutes.
All right, Dana, thanks very much.
Republican lawmakers are trying to highlight the economic benefits of bringing the F-35 fighter jets to Madison's Truex Field.
A resolution supporting the jets passed the Senate this afternoon. Our Rose Schmidt is live at the state capitol to explain why some neighbors are not on board. Rose?
Mark and Susan, the resolution says that bringing the jets here will help keep Truex Field open. But that's an argument that neighbors dispute, as they warn that the noise from the jets will negatively impact their quality of life. Truex Field is one of 5 locations being considered to house the F-35 fighter jets. An environmental impact statement says the noise from the jets would make hundreds of homes uninhabitable, angering neighbors and raising opposition from a number of Madison Democrats. The Senate passed a bipartisan resolution this afternoon supporting bringing F-35s to Madison. The sponsors, Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald and Representative Tony Kurtz, held a news conference this morning saying the jets could preserve jobs and benefit the entire state.
And as elected officials, it is our responsibility to show our support for those men and women, and that we want the F-35 and we want them to fly that aircraft.
The cost-benefit analysis here is just very, to me, seems very clear. This is going to do far more harm than good. And of course, the people whose homes are going to be affected are mostly low-income people of color.
The Senate first debated the resolution today. 2 Democratic lawmakers from Dane County tried to amend it to ask the Air Force to continue studying the jets' health and environmental impacts, but their attempts failed, and the Senate did pass the resolution on a voice vote. The full assembly is expected to take up the resolution on Thursday.
Rose Schmidt live at the state capitol. Rose, thank you.
Republican leaders are proposing new rule changes that will allow a lawmaker who is disabled to call into meetings when he can't appear in person. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Majority Leader Jim Steineke told reporters they're reversing their stance and trying to accommodate Representative Jimmy Anderson. But Anderson says he was not consulted on the rule change, and being left out of the process was, quote, offensive to him. The full assembly will vote on the proposed rules on Thursday. The school district of Janesville says it's addressing the actions of several students caught on camera.
The video posted online shows several girls yelling and slapping another girl in the bathroom. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with why parents in the district are calling for action. Adam?
Well, Mark and Susan, believe it or not, the video that shows what some are calling an act of bullying is still up online, gathering over 20,000 views on Twitter alone. And tonight, the school district of Janesville says the individuals in that video have been identified and punished accordingly. But the school district still will not say what the nature of the dispute was or what any of the punishments are that have been handed out. But the concern for some parents is now turning to how this was able to happen.
I have children in middle school. I have children in elementary school. So knowing that that happened, not seeing any adults whatsoever intervening in the situation, knowing that it was being held within school walls, it made me very concerned.
And remind me how to spell your last name. The woman you just heard from is part of a local anti-bullying group in Janesville called Be a Rooney. And she says that her group has been contacting Janesville city leaders like the city council ever since this video was posted, trying to urge them to do something to take a stronger stance on bullying in schools. We'll tell you what that something is coming up tonight at 5.
We will see you then. Adam Duxter live in Janesville. Thanks, Adam.
State senators have approved 2 bills establishing protocols for handling sexual assault evidence kits. The state has a backlog of untested kits. Under one bill, if a victim who reports an assault to police, nurses must notify officials within 24 hours of collecting the kit. The kits must then be sent to the state crime lab within 14 days. The other bill requires the state Justice Department to track the kits. The bills now head on to the Assembly.
Congress is now threatening to subpoena the U.S. ambassador to the European Union after he failed to show up for a deposition this morning. President Trump says he will not let Ambassador Gordon Sondland testify before Congress. The president tweeted, "I would love to send Ambassador Sondland, a really good man and great American, to testify. But unfortunately, he would be testifying before a totally compromised kangaroo court." Text messages released last week show Sondland insisted to diplomats that there was no quid pro quo in the president's decision to withhold military aid to Ukraine and his request that Ukraine investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
Guess what happened? The aid got released. And you know what didn't have to happen? There was no new investigation that had to get created. This whole thing is a fairy tale.
By preventing us from hearing from this witness and obtaining these documents, the President and Secretary of State are taking actions that prevent us from getting the facts needed to protect the nation's security.
Democrats say Sondland still needs to testify, and they are demanding text messages or emails, which they say the State Department has refused to turn over.
The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments in cases today that will determine whether the Civil Rights Act of 1964 applies to members of the LGBTQ community. Plaintiffs hope the federal law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin will extend to sexual orientation. Natalie Brand is at the Supreme Court, where passions on both sides of the issue were ignited.
U.S. Supreme Court justices heard arguments Tuesday in landmark cases regarding workplace protections for the LGBTQ community.
It's been a long journey, but we finally made it here.
Gerald Bostock is the plaintiff in one case. He says he lost his job in Clayton County, Georgia, after joining a gay softball league. Another plaintiff is Amy Stevens, who was fired from a Detroit area funeral home after informing her boss that she wanted to transition.
What happened to me was wrong. We can fix that and correct it.
The owner of the funeral home says he was only enforcing a gender-specific dress code. His lawyers argue the issue should be decided by Congress, not the courts.
If unelected government officials are allowed to make up the law in accordance with their own policy preferences, that will hurt everyone.
These are the first major LGBT rights cases to be argued in front of the Supreme Court since Justice Brett Kavanaugh replaced retired Justice Anthony Kennedy, a key swing vote in several cases that expanded gay rights.
We could very easily, find ourselves with a lineup of a majority ruling in favor of the LGBT workers that won't necessarily sort of meet everybody's expectations of who falls where on the political spectrum.
Passions flared outside the court, with demonstrators from both sides. Some were arrested during a sit-in. The plaintiffs also received star power support from actress Laverne Cox, who is transgender.
That it should not be okay to discriminate against someone simply for being who they are.
A decision from the justices is not expected until sometime next spring. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
And in this current Supreme Court term, justices will also hear cases on abortion and immigration.
Despite a warning from President Trump, Turkey appears poised to launch a military strike against the Kurds in northern Syria. Turkish forces are moving into position after American soldiers withdrew from the area. For years, the Kurds have fought ISIS alongside U.S. troops. In a statement, Kurdish leaders called President Trump's decision to pull out, quote, tragic. But on Twitter this morning, the president said, in no way have we abandoned the Kurds, and said the U.S. will continue to provide them with financial and military aid.
We had 50 in the region that you're talking about, 50 soldiers, and they've been already moved out.
This is very troubling, and again reflects a president when it comes to Syria, when it comes to the crisis in that region, who has no real strategy.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell issued a statement warning that a sudden withdrawal would only benefit Russia, Iran, and the Assad regime. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is planning to introduce a bill that would impose new sanctions on Turkey if it invades Syrian territory.
Well, still to come at 4, more and more Americans with full-time jobs are working a side hustle.
And they're not just doing it for the money. It's because it's something they actually enjoy doing. We'll have more on that when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Well, if you're earning extra money from a job that brings you joy, you are part of the side hustle economy.
A new Bankrate survey finds 43% of all Americans with full-time jobs say they have a job outside of their primary work. Chris Gillibaugh says his whole life has been a collection of side hustles, and he shares his experiences in seminars around the country. He says he sees would-be side hustles of all ages and income brackets, and while they all want a little extra income, it's not their top priority. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says in rare circumstances, a side hustle can bring in full-time income, but she says take the transition slowly.
Keep your day job, keep those valuable benefits, and start testing this. See if it has any traction. It's a terrific way to really see if what you think is your passion has some legs financially.
And if it doesn't, you still have your passion and your main source of income, giving you more financial flexibility. Stocks close lower as hopes for a U.S.-China trade talks fade. The Dow Industrials fell 313 points, ending the day at 26,164. The NASDAQ Composite Index dropped 132. The S&P 500 was off 45.
Well, here's some news every dog owner already knows. New research from the University of Toronto shows owning a dog could add years to your life. Researchers analyzed data from 4 million people in 6 countries, and they found dog owners lowered their risk of dying early by 24%. For those who had already had a heart attack, the risk of dying was lowered by 31%. A major factor could be that pet owners who walk their dogs get up to 30 minutes of exercise a day. And studies also show that petting dogs can reduce blood pressure, anxiety, and depression. It's that oxytocin.
That's right.
That's released.
Vouch for that.
Well, research suggests that 70% of people experience something called imposter syndrome at one point in their lives. It's the feeling of inadequacy and self-doubt that persists despite evidence of a lot of success.
It happens to both men and women and frequently occurs when you're going for a goal outside of your comfort zone. UW Health distinguished psychologist Charlotte Mergain is back with us. This is a very interesting topic, and you had your own personal experience with this imposter syndrome.
I did, and I really want to talk about it because I'm so passionate about people really moving in the direction of their potential. And imposter syndrome can really hold you back. For me, it was when I transitioned to grad school, a lifelong goal of mine, and I had arrived. And I was struck with feeling like people are going to find out that I'm not good enough. I had a lot of anxiety, and it was becoming debilitating. And so first, when we think about imposter syndrome, it's important to really name it to tame it. And imposter syndrome comes up when people feel not good enough. They are afraid of other people knowing that they're not as good as they perceive themselves to be, and it's almost like feeling like a fraud. And so what shifted for me was to share it, to break the silence. And I talked with a friend of mine, and she said, it's imposter syndrome. And when I learned that, it really shifted something for me and freed me. And I think with imposter syndrome, there's a lot of shame, and it can be like a dirty gym bag that we shove in a locker and we want to keep hidden. But if we can talk about how we're feeling, we open up that gym bag and that experience to the light, and that can really start to change things for people.
That's what you mean by name it, to tame it.
Yes.
Right.
So talk to somebody about it.
Yeah, let people know what you're going through to help shift it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't ruminate on this. Go forward.
Yep, so that's a second thing, that along with imposter syndrome, people can have a lot of negative thinking. They can start to beat themselves out, ruminate about their mistakes, and one of the best things is to change your beliefs. And I brought an affirmation that I had back in grad school, which was when I felt like, oh, I'm not enough, that I started saying daily, I am enough, I do enough, I have enough. And so if we can change those core beliefs to something more positive, if we change our mind, then our emotions start to shift, because it's actually the emotions of imposter syndrome that are the last to change. Instead, it's our thinking of working with affirmations and really reinforcing the things we're doing well that can change.
So it's not modesty. It's not trying to be self-introspective. It's more being unnecessarily critical of yourself, right?
Yeah, and we tend to focus on the negatives, the things we don't do well, the mistakes we make, and we often don't internalize the successes. So by really shifting our thinking to noticing the good, to highlighting the achievements, to the positive feedback we get, and really put our attention there, where we focus grows. And so it can build some of that inner confidence that can start to shift us out of that imposter syndrome and moving out of our comfort zone into our potential.
Maybe make a list of all your successes that you could refer to?
That's a great idea. Yes, I've known people who have a list or put the little email congratulations in a binder or notebook that they can refer back to. And often when we're going for something new outside our comfort zone, there's going to be anxiety. And I often think we can strap the anxiety in the back seat. It can be along for the ride, but instead really focus on what we want to have happen and using some visualization. One technique I really encourage people to do is to flick back to some of those past successes, maybe read over that list, and then flick forward, seeing yourself having a similar, if not better, outcome. That's that mental rehearsal that Olympic athletes, professional athletes use. We can use that to provide some inner fuel to help us grow outside that comfort zone.
So when you say that, you're thinking like when you get a new job or when you're dating someone new or something, an unusual experience that you don't normally have. That's when it can present itself?
Absolutely. For many people, it's when they're transitioning to something new. It could be when you're going to college, or you try a new job, or you move to a new city or a new relationship. But it can also happen to really successful people, that they maybe reach a level of success and they feel like maybe I don't deserve to be there. And what can happen is we start to sabotage ourselves and we start to avoid and not take action. So one of the best things we can do is approach, take action,
and talk
try
to
things.
Talk
yeah,
to
and don't be afraid to
Can I put that on the bulletin board on my desk? I would love to have this.
Shyla, great advice as usual.
Shyla, great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Stay with us here on Live at 4. Consumer Reports says you may be eating little particles of plastic without even knowing it. We'll share that story.
And then coming up tonight at 5, 2 people charged with first-degree reckless homicide of a 13-year-old are in court today. We'll update that case coming up tonight at 5.
take a look at this. Residents in Thailand captured these startling moments when a gustnado, that's a swirling wind caused by storm clouds, took shape in a shopping mall. The gustnado lifted roofs and signs, causing damage to several homes and cars nearby. One witness at the gas station said he first saw the gustnado forming from dust and sand on the ground before it became a swirling wind traveling toward him. Another witness who filmed the whirlwind from the other side of the gas station said she never saw anything like this before. How common are these?
I would say that's a pretty...
That's a big one.
Well, it's picking up a lot of debris with it, so you can see it pretty good, but it didn't look like it was causing catastrophic damage, so I'm not an expert in rating the gustnados or tornadoes that come on through, but it didn't seem like it was like tearing down those buildings, just causing some roof damage.
Every once in a while you see leaves like blowing in a circle.
Leaves, yeah, a little dust storm picking up. That's always fun and exciting.
This was a little more than that.
A little more than that. It was quite a bit taller, and you could see it from so many different angles. So it was a little bit bigger than just some leaves swirling.
So today is gorgeous, and tomorrow will be as well, right? And then things take a left turn.
we really drive down with our temperatures, and the rain, of course, really comes back in over the next few days. Though this evening will be fantastic. We'll take a closer look at your full forecast right after the break. Today has been really nice outside. Here's a time lapse actually of downtown watching the sun rise on over. Barely a cloud in the sky today. It's been really pleasant temperature wise. We're at about 68 currently in Madison. Dew points, of course, in a great spot so it doesn't feel humid at all outside. A little bit of a breeze from the south-southwest, about 10 miles per hour in Madison, so enough that you'll notice it. It seems a little breezier to the western edge of the state, but 68's a little above average for this time of year. We're still holding on for a little more fall color to creep on down to the southern edge of the state. Most of the peak color right now up in the northern edge. I did take a trip up to Minneapolis this weekend, and there was a lot of changing already happening. Now, down here, we still got another week and a half or so before we really pick up a lot of that change. Though some trees are starting just a little early. Doppler track is nice and quiet right now. Will stay quiet overnight as high pressure is still in control for most of the Midwest and plains. Our next rain system steadily gathering a little bit of steam in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to sink south and east, and as it crosses on over, that's when that rain is going to pass on over for us. It looks like it's going to start to build in later in the day on Thursday and then stay into the weekend. Overnight will stay mostly clear. For Wednesday, another really sunny, pleasant day, almost a repeat of today temperature-wise. By Thursday, will become mostly cloudy during the day with a chance for some showers, though most of the rain will be building in later on. Scattered showers expected overnight into Friday. We'll continue to see those showers Friday and Saturday, but notice where this wind is converging. As this cold front passes on over, our temperatures are actually going to fall during the day on Friday. We'll hit our highs early on and then expecting our temperatures to drop by the afternoon, close to 50 degrees for when we usually hit our high temperatures. Again, a little bit of a breeze coming from the south. We won't expect it to be too windy overnight, falling into the 40s for our overnight lows, not nearly as cool in the upper 40s for most of the area. Tomorrow afternoon, upper 60s for our afternoon highs. Similar to today, really pleasant and nice outside with a mostly sunny sky. By Thursday, will become mostly cloudy with the chance for some showers to pop on up during the day. Most of the heavier rainfall and those isolated thunderstorm threats will start to develop later in the evening and the afternoon. Looking ahead to this weekend behind that cold front as our temperatures do fall. We do look at the chance to see some patchy frost for Saturday and Sunday morning. This is really right on cue. Our average first frost right around October 11th. So to see it this weekend, nothing's too early or too late there. About 46 for our overnight low. Mostly clear sky, not nearly as cool again heading into Wednesday morning. Another mild day for Wednesday with a mostly sunny sky. High temperatures will be in the upper 60s, close to 70 degrees. Not record breaking, but a little bit above average. Upper 60s for Wednesday and for Thursday. Thursday will become mostly cloudy with some showers and thunderstorms developing later in the day. It'll be breezy outside also as that cold front approaches. Friday expected to be pretty breezy as that front passes. And then our temperatures will fall quite a bit during the day. We'll be in the 30s by Saturday and Sunday morning with afternoon highs barely reaching the middle 40s. So it'll be a little cooler outside for this weekend. Some frost possible heading into both mornings, and by the start of next week, we'll have a drier sky, and it does seem like this nice dry pattern will stick around from Sunday into next week. And we do need the dry weather for right now. To see a nice little stretch there with some sunshine is good news. Yes, yes, definitely.
It's homecoming this weekend on the UW-Madison campus. Big game. It's going to be chilly and wet.
It's going to be chilly and wet right now. We were actually talking last night about trying to layer up under ponchos or figuring out what's the best way to make sure you stay a little warm and stay dry, of course, on Saturday.
At least it's not Fargo.
At least it's not Fargo.
They're expecting,
they're expecting snow, yes.
Lots of it.
Lots of it coming through, and that won't be the case for us on Saturday, thankfully.
Could be worse.
Yeah. Could be much worse, yes.
Dana, thank you. The city of Neenah has changed its name.
For 1 week only, the city of Neenah will be known as Whoville to help promote Neenah High School's production of Seussical the Musical. Calvin Lewis shows us how students are getting excited for this year's play.
It's not every day you see a bunch of people in Dr. Seuss costumes and Cat in the Hat hats running around.
For 1 week only, the city of Neenah will be anything but lonely. To promote a local high school play, the temporary name of Whoville is here to stay.
You know, what you do for your community, you dress up in hats. My wife looked at me this morning and said, you know, this is part of the job, I guess, so I'm having fun.
Decreeing the town as Whoville, the mayor was dressed to the gills. Come showtime, students, staff, and others alike will be hoping the Picard Auditorium will be filled.
Back a while ago when we put on Footloose, we did some similar stuff with Neenah bands dancing, and we wanted to kind of bring the community back into it and get people a little more involved and aware about the show so that they could come and see it, and the mayor was happy to do that with us and changing the city name.
These seniors, they're working hard, and they're hoping that people come out and watch their show and watch their production. So that's what it's all about, is me helping them a little bit and getting the community involved.
And who's to say anything is wrong in a name? After all, when at the end of the day, it's all just for fun and games.
A few years ago, we were a playful city, USA, and I think today we kind of proved it, and the mayor in this goofy hat did just that.
That's the perk of living in a small town. You can't do that in Chicago.
No, you really can't. A lot of fun. Good for them. Well, there's more at 4. You probably don't realize it, but you are probably eating a lot of plastic.
We're talking about microplastics, and Consumer Reports will show us how to avoid some of them when Live at 4 continues.
Smart home.
This is a live look at the Henry Vila Zoo. You think more people would be out today?
It's a beautiful afternoon.
Kind of quiet out there.
Stroll the zoo.
Well, they're open till 5, so you don't have much time to get there. Maybe tomorrow. Well, many of us are eating, drinking, and breathing tiny little pieces of plastic on a regular basis.
Microplastics are a byproduct of the more than 8 billion tons of plastic produced, mostly since the 1950s.
They're ending up in our food, in our water, in the air. Consumer Reports reveals more about how this may be affecting our health and the steps we can take to eat less plastic. Leah Linscheid has more.
Plastic is everywhere. Bags, bottles, and packaging for everything from hand lotion to dish soap to coffee pods. But plastic has become more than just a part of our lives. It has unwittingly become part of our diet, too.
As we use all of this plastic, little tiny fragments break off of the water bottles or plastic bags or wrappings. We call these little fragments microplastics. They're 5 millimeters at their largest, but they can be much smaller. They can be microscopic. And they end up in the food that we eat, the water that we drink, and even the air that we breathe.
According to early results from a forthcoming study from the University of Newcastle in Australia, researchers estimate the average person consumes up to 5 grams of plastic a week. That's the equivalent of a credit card. The Plastics Industry Association said in a statement to Consumer Reports that research has not shown significant human health impacts from microplastics, but this is something that requires further study.
Experts that we've spoken with say that it's very likely there are going to be at least some health effects. It's possible, for example, that ingesting microplastics might increase our exposure to some other chemicals that we know are in some plastics, chemicals that we know have harmful health effects.
Some of these chemicals have been linked to a variety of potential health problems. That includes reduced fertility, obesity, organ damage, developmental delays in children, and even cancer. So how can you eat less plastic? First, start by drinking tap water. Microplastic levels in bottled water can be twice as high as tap. Using the microwave, well, don't heat food in plastic. And eat more fresh food. It may expose you to fewer concerning chemicals than wrapped, packaged, and processed food. For News 3 Now, this is Leah Lynchide.
Boy, that's alarming, isn't it?
It is alarming.
Really thought-provoking. And another thing that you may not realize about ingesting plastic, household dust is a big source of both microplastics and chemicals like phthalates.
So don't eat or breathe or drink water.
Yeah, drink water. Well, you can't get anything in glass anymore.
No, you can't.
You know, it's hard to find things bottled in glass.
Yeah. All right, well, it's time to get your plant and garden questions answered. The number to call, 270-9933.
When we come back, Lisa Briggs, there she is, standing by at the Bruce Company in Middleton. She will take your calls right after the break, so call now.
Is
Good news in traffic. No accidents to report right now, although the Beltline is going just a little slower than we would like to see at this time. That incident right now just on the shoulder. Notice all of the red on the eastbound side. Speeds down to the 20s, and then things pick back up once you get through John Nolan. 12 heading into Sauk City, down to just one lane, so we are seeing pretty backed up delays this morning or this afternoon. It does seem a little further than usual, a mile or two, but around Prairie du Sac, all looks good, and then once you get through Sauk City on 12. Things should be just fine. From Janesville to the Beltline, we're at 27 minutes, 17 from Sauk City to Middleton, and from Sun Prairie to downtown, we have about a 19-minute drive for you this evening. That's a quick look at traffic.
And thank you. The show must go on. This Arizona high school marching band proved that old saying when sprinklers interrupted their show. Corona del Sol's band and color guard was performing at a game in Tempe when it happened. Spectators showed their appreciation with rousing applause. To the performers' credit, they didn't skip a beat, continuing to play through the spray.
And in Arizona, it probably felt pretty good.
Did. We are taking your plant questions today with Lisa Briggs.
The number to call is 270-9933. We have 2 lines open if you'd like to talk to Lisa. She joins us live from the Bruce Company. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, how are you guys?
Great.
Boy, your pumpkin, we're just admiring your pumpkin display at the Bruce Company. It looks great.
They're amazing, and I think I'll bring some in to carve next week.
Okay, we got to have the Lisa pumpkin carving segment, that's for sure. All right, let's get to the phones. We'll start with Carol in North Freedom. Hi, Carol.
Hi there.
What's your question?
I was calling to ask about azalea bushes. I have 5 small ones, all different colors, and I didn't know if I should prune them back for the winter.
No, Carol. If you prune them now, you're going to cut off all of the flowers for next spring, so you're going to want to wait.
Okay.
All right, thank you for calling. Let's go to Ann in Wanakee. Hi, Ann. What's your question?
I'd like to know about what time you cut off peony bushes. Last year I cut mine off early, and then they started coming up. They were about 4 or 5 inches high by the time it snowed. So what did I do?
I haven't cut mine back yet. I would wait till after we get a good frost. So maybe mid to late October should be fine. If you had any kind of disease like powdery mildew where they look kind of ashy, or black spots, that's botrytis, you want to make sure that you put all of that in the trash and not in your compost. A lot of those fungal diseases will overwinter and reinfect next year, so get that cleaned up and put away.
All right, let's go to Kay in Madison. Hi, Kay.
Hi. I have 2 short ones. The first one is, given the weather and all of that, when's the best time to put in your spring bulbs? And the second one is easy, too. The other day on the noon show, you mentioned something about Creeping Charlie. What's the name of that product to put on in the fall, and then it kills the Charlie over the winter?
You know, that was Linda, and I didn't watch the video, but we did post it on her Facebook page. So if you go to the Bruce Company Facebook page, you will find that it was up this morning, so you can watch the segment and then get that repeated. As far as planting bulbs, I think you could go ahead and plant them now. The ground is starting to cool. Anytime between now and I would say sort of mid to late November, and you'll have pretty good luck getting things to flower next spring.
Now, is that the Creeping Charlie that miraculously was handed to you there?
Yes, I know. My disembodied hand. It should come over here and wave at you guys. Yes, so it looks like Weed Beater Ultra was what Linda talked about on Monday.
Yep.
All right,
that's what it was.
Good to know. All right, let's go to Jane in Richland Center. Hi, Jane.
No, we're going to...
Hello? I'm sorry. Is this Jane?
Yes, it is.
Hi. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, I have some bridal wreaths that have been well established, and last year, after the severe winter, they didn't do well at all. It looked like there was a lot of dead, especially in the middle. Do I cut them down or cut off the dead branches, or how should I proceed?
I would certainly go ahead and cut out anything that didn't leaf out this spring. You can take those branches right back to the ground. That's called renewal pruning. But don't do any other trimming to your bridal wreath now, because like the azaleas that we answered about earlier, they've already set their flower buds for next spring, and if you prune them now or do any trimming, you're going to lose next year's flowers. So take out the dead wood, and then if you want to do a shaping and a cleanup, wait until after the bloom period next spring, and you can go ahead and shape them up then.
All right, let's go to Mark in Madison. Hi, Mark.
Hey there.
What's your question?
I have a question about tiger lily seeds. I have one tiger lily that blooms every year, and it produces these seeds at the meeting of the leaves and the stalk, and I'm wondering if I should plant them now or wait till the spring.
So are you talking about like on the stems, there are like little black bulblets on there?
Yes.
Like
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you've got Asiatic lilies. Those are called, they're either bulbils or bulblets. You could just let those drop to the ground as the plant starts, as the leaves start to yellow, they'll just fall to the ground naturally and they will reseed themselves. So you really don't have to do anything with them. It'll take care of it itself.
Oh, all right. That's good to know. Let's go to Tom.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh, Tom in Spring Green. Hi, Tom. What's your question?
I have a Japanese maple tree, and it started budding out last spring, and then we got the freezing rain and snow, and it only got about 10 leaves on it all winter. Well, now it's got white mold on the branches, on the lower, bigger branches. Is this thing dead, or is it going to come back?
If you only got about 10 leaves on the whole plant after last winter, I would guess that it's done, and you should probably go ahead and take it out and replace it. The white on it might be molded, also might be lichens, which is a sort of kind of like a moss or a parasitic fungus. It doesn't hurt anything or infect anything else, but if you're going to take the plant out, just take the lichens out with it.
Yeah, it was a tough winter for a lot of plants.
Yeah, it was. It was. A lot of anything that was marginal.
All right, we're out of time. Thank you, everyone, for calling in. Lisa, thank you for your time. We'll see you next week with your pumpkins.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Lise.
We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast. Get out this evening if you can and enjoy.
Absolutely. It's so nice outside right now. It's not too windy and those temperatures are just a little above average, so it feels enough like fall and starting to look like fall for us, of course. Here's a live look downtown. Right now, our Doppler track is nice and quiet. Temperature-wise, we're sitting in a really good spot. About 68 in Madison, 72 in Boscobel, close to 70 in Prairie du Chien and in Janesville. So very, very comfortable evening. Again, there is a bit of a breeze. 10 miles per hour for Mineral Point in Prairie du Chien right now. Over the next few hours, though, that breeze will calm down a little bit and those temperatures will will definitely drop off tonight. Of course, with that clearing sky, it gets much cooler overnight heading into tomorrow morning.
Cools off
chilly
fast.
in the morning.
Yeah.
In the morning, it gets cool, yes.
All right, Dana, thank you. Tomorrow here on Live at 4, we'll have an update on the Best of Madison Awards.
And Farm Director Pam Jahnke will be here. We'll talk about the dairy farmer crisis, and she'll be taking your ag-related calls live. That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4.
Hardy.
In today's Final Touch, truck drivers in Russia sort out